Okay, hey everyone. So I wanted to make this video specifically for anyone who is currently going through depression or anxiety or has experienced that and maybe is fearful of that returning or maybe has fleeting moments of depression and anxiety. And I'm sitting here watching I've had this MacBook for probably ever since I was diagnosed with the depression and anxiety, ironically. And so I have a lot of stuff on here that's saved from that. I guess it was like a year and a half ago when I was diagnosed with it. And so I have a lot of video footage of me just talking about my depression and about my anxiety. And if you go onto my YouTube channel or if you even go onto my videos, like way, way, way back into the very first videos that I posted on my Facebook, you can even watch those videos and notice how different I am, not necessarily by physical appearance. Sorry, I don't know why I can't talk, but not necessarily by physical appearance, but the way I was always really self-conscious, and I had no idea how self-conscious I was until just watching those videos. Because the entire time I'm like, instead of looking into the camera, I'm looking at myself and like worrying about how I look, and you can see that. And I wasn't very loud. I was really quiet, and maybe it was just lack of like knowing how to talk to a camera, and just like from practicing, I guess I've gotten used to it. But I want to I never set out to really like market myself as like a depression, like someone who like overcame depression and anxiety. And I actually avoided it for a really long time, and there's a reason I did. There's a couple reasons I avoided it. One was because I didn't want people to know that I was going through that, and I didn't want to seem broken, and I didn't want to seem like a bad coach I didn't want people to not look up to me was the thing. And then as soon as I started talking about it was when I felt like a huge relief. I felt a huge relief. And I don't know exactly where to start with this or what you guys need to hear, but I guess I'll just try to tell you in much detail and as concisely as I can how I got depressed and how I thought my way into depression. My depression was all me, and I don't want anyone to watch this as a replacement for like seeking help through a professional licensed therapist or like through going to your doctor and seeking out medication, even though like I'm against that. But that's for me, not for anyone else. I'm not here to give anyone advice on how to handle their medical situation, but I just want to give some clarity on how it happened for me. So, like I said, I thought my way into my depression. My own thoughts got me there, and I know that because I could feel myself getting sick. And it was a lot of fear, and I didn't know what fear was. I didn't know. I was young. It happened to me so young, and I honestly think it happened because in my entire life, since the first time that I had a drink or a sip of alcohol or used drugs at all, since 13 years old, I had never lived sober for like maybe more than a few weeks in my entire life. So here I was, newly sober, and I was still drinking, but I was sober. And I had been sober for about a year. It was the longest period of my entire life. And here I was trying to, you have to deal with shit all of a sudden. You have to deal with stuff, and you can't just kind of like tuck it under the rug or like numb yourself with substances or relationships or people, in which that's what I was doing my whole life. So I'm not surprised that I got diagnosed with depression, but I also know that I got myself there. And I'm really passionate about it because to me it's really alarming how many people are depressed, and the number of antidepressant prescriptions is really alarming to me, and that's something that's really passionate. Like that's one of my like core reasons why I do what I do, is because it really upsets me. My whole situation, and I won't get into what I went through exactly with the medical world, but it was really screwed up. I took a survey, and 15 minutes later, I was on a very extreme, low to moderately dosed antidepressant. And I don't think that's right. But that's besides the point. So I thought my way into it, and I want you to know that the very first thing, and so the things that were happening to me is I was always overwhelmed. I was constantly crying. I constantly felt like I couldn't handle anything. I was putting a lot of blame on my boyfriend for me feeling this way, and it was my lack of independence, and I was blaming everything around me. And instead of thinking about what I could do. And so I'm trying to remember what it was like. It feels so long ago. And so I was constantly crying. I was having panic attacks after work. I couldn't breathe. You know, my throat was closing. I got prescribed Xanax for the anxiety. And as soon as I got on it, and as soon as I started talking to my doctor, I was under the assumption that I was going to have to live this way for the rest of my life. And I dug through. If you're watching this, I promise you, you're gonna get over it. Like if it's something that you can work on and combat and buffer, and it's not the depression that you need to get over, it's the fear. You know, because I can't talk to the depression, and I can't talk to any like medical conditions that you're experiencing, but for some reason at that point in my life, I had so much fear around becoming something that I was afraid of becoming. You know, I was afraid of my future. I was afraid of failing and all of that stuff. And but I just kept going. And so whatever you're doing, you aren't going to be able to change it overnight. So step one, like realize that nothing is going to happen to you right away. You're not going to hear anything. You're not going to read anything. You're not going to go do anything that's going to fix it. But you need to get to work. It's a job. It's a full-time job to get away from that fear. So you need to pick yourself up a brand new fresh journal, and you need to get to work, and you need to start studying. Because you're going to start to study yourself. You're going to start to study your thoughts. You're going to start writing them down, and you're going to have to seek out different coaches and different motivation and different inspirations. And you're going to have to get a fitness program or like a fitness regimen, and you're going to have to start feeling your body properly. And if you're struggling with binge eating or overeating or not eating because of stress, you're going to have to start looking at that as well. You're going to start looking at what you can do with what you have. And so it's easier for me to talk to someone one-on-one because I can ask them what they're experiencing and just answer it right then. But the very first thing I did was I started being very thankful for my depression. My grandmother, when I told her, I called her as soon as I realized I was depressed. I was on my lunch break outside of work at the call center I was at, and I said, Gram, because that's what I call her, I said, Gram, something's wrong. Something's really wrong with me, and I'm not okay, and I really need your help. And she said, she started going into like, oh, like, you know, you'll feel better, it's okay, like, you have to think positive, you'll get through this, I love you. And I stopped her, and I was like, no. And I remember this phone call, and I was like, no, like it's not okay. It's not okay. Something is really wrong, and it's not getting any better, and I really need help. And so, just saying that, immediately saying like things suck is really the first step, because if you can admit that things suck, then you can be more open to experiencing a different path. And the first thing that she told me was, Alexis, she didn't even miss a beat. She said, Alexis, I want you to stop, and I want you to start, and I want you to be so damn thankful that you're depressed right now. And I was like, I literally was like, she's like, wait a second, hear me out. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, why would I be excited about this? Like, this sucks. And she was like, you need to be thankful that you're depressed, because there's a reason it's happening. It's happening on purpose. It's not happening against you. It's happening for you. And you're going to come out a better woman because of this. And you're going to be on a different path because of this. And I look back at it now, and I realized I was never meant to work at a call center. I was never supposed to be in the relationship that I was in for much longer. I was never supposed to live, you know, with that person for much longer. I was met in my freshman or my sophomore history teacher, always when I wanted to graduate high school earlier, and a lot of the teachers thought that that wasn't a good idea and that I would miss out on a lot of things and a lot of experience and knowledge, but I was determined that I wanted to get out of high school a year early. And he was the only one that was on my side, and he told my grandparents, he was like, I think Alexis is doing the right thing, because I can tell that she's got bigger fish to fry. That's what he said to me. She's got bigger fish to fry than high school in this area. and in this state. You know, she needs to go do other things. And so if you're experiencing depression or anxiety, just know that you have bigger fish to fry. You have a really big purpose in this world, and you don't need to figure it out right now, but really check yourself and check your thoughts, because the same thinking that got you into this depression and into this current mindset is not the same thinking that's going to get you out. So you're going to have to work very, very hard on getting yourself on a personal growth path and unlearning and unthinking your way out of it. So you're going to have to give up a lot of the things you learned over the time, whether that's your childhood, whether that's, you know, things you've picked up, things you're doing subconsciously that you don't even realize, bad habits you have in the kitchen, bad habits you have with your body. It's all relative. Like, it all has to do with this. And so I want you to just look at it a different way. Depression is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Gaining 22 pounds on antidepressants is the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I knew I was going to have a story to tell, and I knew I was going to be able to help people. And yours might not be about that, you know what I mean? Like, you might be going through this because you're meant to get a promotion at your job, and somehow you have to take a leave of absence from your work, and you go do some yoga retreat, and you meet this person who turns you on to this subject that you never knew you were so passionate about, and you start reading this book that's like exactly like what you're going through, and it turns you on to like your calling or whatever. Like, your calling is now. Like, everything that you're supposed to have, you are already open to and able to receive. It's just like little things like that. But how you get there and how you begin the path, because it's a path, it's a journey. It took me a full year, a full calendar year, to get unstuck, a full year, you know, so hang in there. The entire time I was gaining weight, I was like, I know it's happening, but this sucks, and I can't do anything. But my mental state was so much more important than my body at that time. And I still worked out and stuff, but I knew I needed to take care of what was going on up here. And so be patient with yourself, forgive yourself, start being thankful you're depressed and anxious. I promise you there's a reason why. I promise you it's happening on purpose. Check your thoughts, write them down, say that to yourself, saying, I'm feeling this way on purpose. What can I learn from this? If there's someone in your life, if there's a situation or job that's happening that's causing you to feel anxious or depressed, or an event that happened, maybe you lost someone or you grieved or whatever, anything that you can grieve, but don't grieve forever, because anything you grieve, anything that you lose comes back around. So you never lose anything. It always comes back around in a different form. Whether that's, you know, a different kind of relationship, and you meet someone and you get to apply what you learned from that person that you lost, or you get to carry on their legacy, or like whatever. And I've lost people in my life too, and so there's always, everything is happening on purpose. Everything is happening on purpose. But you just got to get out of your own way, and don't try to figure it out too much. Just do those things, you know. So let me think if I'm missing anything. So yeah, just keep saying that. Like, this is happening to me on purpose. And whenever you meet someone or you're in a cruddy situation, treat them like they're the most important person, because someone always has different life experience, no matter how intelligent they are in comparison to you. They have something to offer you. They have a perspective to offer you that you've never experienced. So treat everyone you meet like the most important person you've ever met. And yeah, so just realize it's happening on purpose and be thankful for it. And I think that's going to be like the end of the series 1 that I'm going to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to do the next one on, but I hope that helps. If you have any questions, or if you have any prompts from me about what you want to hear next, then leave them in the comments below. I'd really appreciate that. And share this with anyone who's struggling with depression or anxiety, and make sure they reach out to a professional like a doctor or a therapist. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and you can find me at facebook.com/Lexi West Coast. That's LEXI West Coast. Or you can find me on Instagram at Alexis Olsen Fitness. Thanks.